yeah. Well, look at this, people are here already. What's going on? Quivers, quivers. Good morning, good morning. I was hoping to get the noisy stuff done before you guys arrived. I haven't quite finished it. What's the job we should do here this morning? I have a bit more persuading to do here, you know. A bit more. Yeah, it's winter. It's cold again. It's chilly again this morning. Chilly, chilly, chilly. I have like 3 or 4 minutes worth of persuading still to do. What should we do here? Got some noisy work. Suppose I turn the mic, I can't turn the mic off, but if I move the mic, disaster coming back. I'm going to try moving the mic away, putting it down on the table here. Am I allowed to touch this thing? Again. So much for a zoom. Up or down? What's the sound? Is the sound there? Just the mic shows input. It shows a little bit of really low level. Static gone, but I'm back. Better now. It's plugs, you know. I mean, professional people out on the stage, they use XLR connectors. Microphones go cut-chunk, and you can hang yourself with it. It doesn't come apart. Consumers have these little tiny jacks, and you touch it and you're hosed, you know. Okay, I have, like I said, about 1 or 2 minutes of persuading left. Whatever, just turn your, I'll keep quiet anyway. Turn your volume down. Just give me 1 or 2 minutes. And then, tell you what, we'll have a little bonus. After I finish persuading here in 1 or 2 minutes, finally, we will have sharpening on the round gouges, which I've been bugged about for a long, long, long time. So it's plus minus. Give me 2 or 3 minutes of persuading. Turn your volume down if you have to. Why do I carve first and sharpen later? Well, let's just get this done. The reason for the sharpening, I just chipped actually the tip of the gouge a little bit here. This wood is rock hard. We talked about it the other day. There's knots all through it. I had moved the thing around to avoid the knots, and I paid for it, I think, a minute ago. So anyway, let's get this done. The hiss is perhaps the fan. I've moved the microphone closer, and these fans are buzzing like crazy. Okay, this is going to be noisy. Might do it, I guess. Are we still there? No idea. It's all gone away because of noise. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. So, next step for this will be in a minute after the sidetrack will be flattening the surface and clearing it off. But as I said, let's put this aside for a minute because that chisel is really overdue. It's got a bit of a chip. Okay, let's sharpen it. I think sometime a few weeks ago or whatever, you were asking me about sharpening, and it had been dull, and I'd said I hesitated and ma. The reason I had was because I hadn't prepped the stone. The chisels, the normal stones I'm using, you've seen them before. It's these diamond, flat diamond stones. I get a 400, a 1000 and whatever. And it's possible to do this on a flat stone, but you can see where you end up. And it's got to be just around and around and around and around, keeping all the angles right and everything. And it's frustrating. It's possible but frustrating. So what we have, of course, is a stone. But this stone is a man-made stone, which means it needs, of course it needs moistening, but it really needs moistening. It lives underwater. In my normal carving bench in Ome, I've got my wooden bucket by the side, and on top of the wooden bucket there's a little trestle where you do the sharpening, forward or back, whichever way. And the stones live in the bucket. You can't put a natural stone underwater and leave it there. You come back in the morning and you've just got mud. It just absorbs the water and just dissolves into mud. But the artificial stones need lots and lots and lots and lots of water. They are super porous, and if you just get a stone dry, spread some water on, whoops, the water soaks in, you can't sharpen. Spray some more water on, whoops, it soaks in, you can't sharpen. So for the past 25 minutes or so, 20 minutes, this stone has been living underwater, and hopefully now it's got enough water in it that we can use it for this job. And what I'm using, it's an artificial, it's a 400 backed with an 800. This is a 400, no, it's a 400 backed with a, maybe it's 1,000, somewhere on there. It's been many, many, many years since I bought it. And it used to be a flat stone. It was a normal flat stone, and now it's not. You can see we have two grooves in it. One groove for this chisel, and one groove for this chisel. And the grooves are pretty much the same rough shape as the chisel. I've done the same thing on the 400 side and on the 1200 side, and this thing is wet. It's going to make a mess here. How did I buy this? No, you can't buy some. Well, no, I don't. Maybe you can buy something, but we make our own. And to make it, what I did was, and this is a long, long, long time ago. This is my second set. The first one I would have made, I don't know, 30 plus years ago, and this one I would have made, I don't know, 15 years ago or something, I don't know, no idea. And how? No problem, you use sandpaper. What you get is a dowel, a piece of normal wooden dowel, and you wrap tough sandpaper around it, you draw a line on your stone, and you rub and rub and rub for a while. Sandpaper wears out, roll it, rub and rub, sandpaper wears out, rub and rub and rub. And then change your sandpaper. It's no big deal. It's not like 6,500 hours of work. It's just actually an hour or so of work with a piece of sandpaper, and that starts you off. It didn't look like this when I started with it. This groove now fits this chisel. At the beginning, that groove was just a narrower U of the right angle. And when you're sharpening in the shallower groove, you're rolling back and forth and back and forth. And then over months and over years and over months and over years, the thing deepens out. I'm still good to go on this. You can see when we switch to the other one in a minute, I went through. I went through to the bottom and started a new one beside it. So you make your own. This is a 400 stone, so it wears fast. You can see this mud. This is mud from the stone. I didn't need a Nagra for this one because it makes its own mud in seconds. You can reshape it. So you see what I'm doing. I'm fooling around right corner, left corner, fooling around the angles up and down. Look at your bevel, watch what you're doing, and you shape this thing. It's a water stone. I don't know the brand name, whatever. It's an artificial Japanese water stone, sharpening stone. And this is a 400 grit, quite strong. It'll cut this chisel. It cuts the nicks out of this in seconds. This is a lot of, we don't normally need a lot of sharpening like this, because as I said, there's a couple of nicks in the blade, so we've got to cut back quite a lot of steel. If the thing was broken or chipped, you'd go to your grindstone, which I don't have, but as always, back off the pressure when you get near the end. Try and reduce the depth of the scratches. Okay, the shape is ready now, but there's a big burr on the inside. You get rid of the burr softly, softly, softly on the corner of the stone. And let's move to the next one. And this, I said, it's about a 12, I guess, 1,000 or 12, I'm not sure. Nice. I think. What a mess. I don't have a curved one for the final step. This is not taking away any metal, just polishing that edge. And we're treating this the same way I do one of the ice ski. I'm rotating this way, and as I do, I'm rotating each way. Now this is not an optimum solution, an optimal solution, I guess. I should have a super fine stone as well. But the effort to make one, my God, they're so hard. I think you'd need an industrial process. You couldn't do it with that sandpaper like I mentioned. I don't think it's necessary. This one seems to work just fine. And you can see where you are because of the shininess. You have an immediate visual feedback on what you've done. Does it show there? You can see the two colors of the steel on the back too. The steel right at the tip, the first couple of millimeters there is the hard, bright steel. And behind it is the softer steel. You can see the two layers. Ooh, sharp, be careful. A tiny burr. Comes off on the corner. There we have it. The other one will go much quicker because it's so much smaller. Just seconds. They're so small. The stone is so strong. That's the good part and the bad part about these. They sharpen really quickly, but then also when you're sharpening, if you've got the angle wrong, it'll get wrong real fast, real quick. I don't have a glue for this. It's okay, we can. Let's do it. And back into the water she goes. Everybody's still left, you're still here. What kind of Nagara stone? I'm really sorry, I don't know. It's just a Nagara. I know the one I've got here is fairly white. The one I have here over on my bench in Ome is a bit black. I'm not knowledgeable about the different genres and types of Nagara. It's just a stone that we use to help make mud. Yeah, I'm not sure. What can I say? I mean, I can't show you how to make the stone. It's something I do every couple of decades. I don't know. So the concept was simple. It was a normal artificial stone. And they're much easier. I have no experience doing this with a natural stone. None at all. You get an artificial stone, just a normal type of stone. If you start with the tough one, like the 800, the 400 grit there, they're really easy to... they wear away really easy. So get your dowel with sandpaper, and really in a few minutes you can make your first groove. Just in a few minutes. Roll the dowel, roll the sandpaper. I guess you could figure something out with a drill and whatever. You don't need to. They grind away so easily. Some strong sandpaper, a dowel, you've got your first groove. Don't think about making a groove as deep as what you just saw. You just want a groove that's a couple of millimeters deep and something to guide your chisel as you're in. Then once your initial groove is done, from there on in, as you're running in your little groove, you roll your chisel side by side, the groove itself starts to deepen and starts to deepen, and over the next months and years, you've got yourself a perfect little stone for this. The 1200 or whatever it is, 1000 or 1200, it does the same thing. I wouldn't dream of trying this with a finishing stone. They're so rock hard, you could maybe again make an industrial process and do it, but whatever, or just buy one. And they last such and such a long time. As I said, I've had that for I don't know how many years. It's my second go around. And I've been at this for 40 years, and that's my second go around. Okay, let's, we've got the lands, we've got the oceans. Let's try and smooth out some of this stuff at the bottom here. No, so you don't have to match your dowel, because as I said, on those stones, on the 400 and the 1000 stone, your stone will change shape in minutes. So don't try and really super match the curvature. Get it close, and then as you're doing it, of course, if it's not the right shape when you rub your chisel, it's going to sharpen in the wrong place. So you've got to roll your chisel if the groove isn't exactly right. But then after minutes, the stone will start to match your chisel. The next question would be, suppose I've got 6 different kinds of chisels with different curvature, then yeah, I guess you've got to sort something out, because it wouldn't really match. In my case, I've just got these 2. For 40 years I've been using these 2, and my little stone has the grooves that matches. I'm no super expert on this at all. It's just, it's a hack, I guess, whatever, it's a hack. This wood is really not a nice piece. It's full of dense, hard knots and other places. See, even this chisel too, if I'm not careful, I can damage this. There's these knots here. And if I just smashed through and didn't care much about it, I could do the same thing. Listen to that. So I'm going to take it easy here. Light's not getting any too bright, but I need the side light. If I don't have side light, it's better for the camera, but I can't see the shadows here now. No, I can't see what to do. Not a pleasant crunch crunch. Sometimes it's a nice pleasant crunch. This is an angry crunch. This wood is not a nice piece of wood. No, I can't see. I've got to put that back on. I'm sorry. The octopuses, yeah, the octopuses are arriving. I've been getting reports. Got a bunch of reports last night. Got a bunch of reports. Mix. A couple of people have been really enthusiastic about it. A couple of people are, it's okay. I know there's one person who sort of misunderstood something about that I tried to do with that one. I know in the first test printing, well, months and months ago, in the first test printing, I printed some just straight up. Pigments, colors, white, paper, bang, do it. And the print really looked wrong. It really looked wrong. The original is a beat up old book, and it's sort of not a classical, beautiful ukiyo-e print. It's not just a question of the book that we've copied from is old. It's not a nice, clean ukiyo-e print. And the first tests I made were just so clean; they were just sort of laughable. You would look at the picture, and it's a very supercharged, erotic picture, and the print was just so clean. I've got some upstairs, and they're not here upstairs. So when it came time to do the edition, I tried a few different things with the test printing. And one thing that I tried was, as we talked about before, I tried toning the paper and toning it roughly. Get the brush, bang, and they look great. They look absolutely great. But there will be people who get this print who, I think, who would want a clean one. I don't know. We could have maybe offered two versions, a toned version and a non-toned version. I don't know. You make your call about how to do it. And wood is full of knots. Another bunch right here, Okay, I think we might be on to the next step. Let's go. Oceans now basically have flat floors. Okay, let's get close. What time? 8:30. We're still early, are we? Because there's lots of different stuff going on here today. We have we have show and tell today. A couple of things. Couple of things. One, whatever we have print type stuff, and we have a process to show, and that's sort of difficult because I did something last night for one of our wood blocks so that the printers can continue, but I can't show you the whole process here because I did it last night up at the workroom. All I can do is show you the finished product, but it's something special, it's something interesting. And if you remind me at the end of the stream here, I'll have to run upstairs and get it. I hadn't planned on talking about it as part of the show and tell. It was just part of the normal workflow yesterday. But if you remind me, I can take a minute and go upstairs and grab this thing. And it's really, really interesting. It's something we're trying for the first time. And this is not something I thought about. Chon-san here, my carving buddy here, works for us. Whatever, let's talk about it at the time. Let's talk about the time. But remind me about this at around 9:10 or so, because this will take some time to show. Remind me. And this is going to be a fun, very, very different show and tell. Well, moistening the block, no. Moistening would make it worse, absolutely worse. You make this wood wet, it just starts to gum up and stick. In some cases, this is too wide of an area to be mucking about with. But in some areas when we're carving, and where the wood just is, there's a bit, you put a bit of oil up, the camellia oil, on the surface of the wood with your knife to cut. Making this wet would not help any way whatsoever. What's this? It is now 9:10. You're the kid who eats the marshmallow right now, right? I was the kid, I would have waited 6 weeks for the marshmallow. That's just the way it is. Are we on? I should make sure what I'm doing here. So. There was a story on NHK this morning, or it must have been yesterday, came through my news this morning, the English version, talking about the tourism in Japan. I guess they've got some official figures for April or something like this, where I don't know why it takes so long to get them. And the tourism, and I can remember the number, it's the number of tourists coming into Japan in the last month, I think this was for calendar April, I'm not quite sure, is down by, the number of tourists coming into Japan for April is down by, they said 99.9%, which I guess statistically means it's down by 100%. And then it gave numbers for some countries. And it said the number of people from Germany who entered Japan in April was 10. It gave some numbers by country. And I'm laughing about this, but just this is such an inconceivable thing for us, you know. I mean, our business it's finished. This shop is history. It's history. We've never been busier, all of us. We've never been busier. We're okay. We have online. We have so many things to do. But what are you going to do? You just laugh. Just laugh about it. You know. 10 Germans came to Japan last month. You know, we get that many in a day normally. You know, in this shop, and this is for the whole country. You know. The other thing was part of the same story, which something I hadn't realized actually, because I don't really follow too much of all this news. It seems there's a bit of a problem with the entry to Japan right now. You know, some countries are closed. There's just no flights permitted, and they're not accepting people from such and such a country, stuff like this. They're also, what they're not accepting is if you have a work visa or something here and you leave, they're not letting you back in. And they're including in that group permanent residents. And I was shocked to see that. I'm a permanent resident here, been here living here since 1986. I've had my permanent residency since whatever, 1992 or something, I can't remember. But if I had a family emergency and had to go to Canada, there are still a couple of flights, if I had to go to Canada, they wouldn't let me back in until this is all over. And I was like, that's interesting. And they're saying it's to avoid infection. You go outside, you pick up an infection and come back. But that's interesting because if a Japanese citizen decides to go to whatever, Taiwan for business or something, they can come back fine. If David here decides to go to Taiwan tomorrow, tries to come back next week, sorry guy. Very interesting. There's still lots of, the way that the Japanese do stuff is, what's the word? Well, any country has their interesting ways to do things. Those reports, it was NHK World, I saw them, it was either last night before going to bed or this morning, just figured out, I can't remember. So if you're curious about those numbers, the 10 German tourists or whatever. I wouldn't be tourists, it must be business people that have some way to get in and stuff like that. It was NHK World, they put in some news last night. 99.9%. Also, something else too, just before this all happened, I had a call and an email from the people at Lonely Planet. They were updating their stuff, and they wanted to get an update from me. This is before Corona, this is before early February. They wanted to get an update from me because they were preparing the next edition of their guidebook. And I had a bit of trouble talking to her because I wasn't really quite sure what we were doing with the print parties. We were thinking of raising the price for the print parties starting in autumn of 2020. Again, this is pre-corona, the discussions and thoughts. So she pushed me, Dave, I need to know this number, please let me know what's going on, let me know what's going on. So I did, I made a decision on that in early February and let the Lonely Planet people know so that they could get ready for their next guidebook. Now, that, of course, it's whatever, it's finished now, but it made me think about the Lonely Planet people. All of a sudden, I mean, they must not have a business anymore. Are you going to buy a guidebook right now? Are you going to go to a bookstore and buy a guidebook? What the information in the guidebook? I mean, it's nothing. Their business model has all of a sudden, it's not just that there's no travel, it's that the information that they're producing is now meaningless. So I don't know, I guess they must have laid everybody off and then shut down. What else can they do? They no longer have a product to sell, and they can no longer even produce their product. If they phone me today and say, okay Dave, what's your plan for this? I'd have to say, sorry, I don't know. And stuff like that makes me realize how, whatever, it's X% luck that this particular tragedy didn't wipe us out, and it's X% good business management that we have different aspects to our business. We're not totally dependent on only one thing. On view, right? Funny, we were carving for 10 minutes outside the camera view. Are they still playing my movie on planes? Not that I've heard it. I haven't heard anything about that for years. It was a contract for a few months, and that was it. That was back in when? 2018? I don't remember. Yeah, late 2018. No, that's finished. The movie is, at last I heard, it was living on Amazon Prime in the US. I know nothing about it. I don't hear about it anymore. Yeah, I have British and Canadian passports. So. The guidebook company you're talking about, Lonely Planet, of course, the world's biggest guidebook company. I mean, there must be history now, I don't know. Print parties, print parties. I have to say my current thinking on the whole thing about shopping print parties is that I think things like those print parties that we did in that kind of environment, I think that's now permanently history. I cannot see any way to go back to that. Even if, for example, there was a magical vaccine soon, and tourism started to recover, that business model that we had built for us, it was fun and stuff, but it really wasn't sustainable. I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago on this stream, but in one sense, that this whole virus thing has actually, it sort of, I can't say saved my life, but there was a huge problem here. Last autumn, we had a wonderful busy tourist season, and we were a bit dreading the upcoming spring tourist season. And I started to prepare more staff and more people to train for print parties. We met Wadabayashi-san, she started doing really well. Our normal Mr. K, Kawai-san, Shiba-san. We had a bunch of really good staff to do this, plus some spirits. Rui-chan was here, Koizumi-kun. Can't remember all their names. So anyway, we had a bunch of people. But within the couple of months of December and January, 5 people who I teed up to do the print parties let me know that they just really didn't want to do that anymore, or couldn't do it anymore. Wadabashi-san actually quit because her husband was hospitalized and she had to move to stay near him. And she was doing really, really well for us. That was just an unfortunate thing. Kawai-san.
お大切ね。
いいです。はい。
はい。お茶していいですか。
いいですか。お願いします。どうも。
じゃあ置いてきますね。
ありがとうございました。
はい。
Thank you.
どうも。
Thank you. Anyway, whatever, as I said, the five of the people we had teed up to do the print parties through early 2020 into the spring backed out of it. So I was to say that reservations were pouring in. This was in December, January. Reservations were pouring in for March, April, May. And it was basically going to be just like me and a couple of extra people to help. What to do. I had no idea what to do. Lonely Planet phoned and said, tell me the policy about the print parties. And I'm thinking, print parties are collapsing. I can't do this. I can't find staff. And then along came Corona. And in that little specific window saved my life. And that experience is still there. So as we are thinking and planning what to do with our shop for the future, how to do this, the short-term future right now, this shop is closed. There's nobody here, no visitors to Japan, so we're closed. But the long-term future, Mokuhankan is simply not going to go back to what it was doing in 2019. We just can't do it. We have built something that was not sustainable staffing-wise. We built an activity that required 2 or 3 professional people to stand there and help people make their prints. And it just was not sustainable. So I'm thinking that it is history. We will have a shop at some point, a place where people come in and see our prints and chat with us and say hello and get to meet me if I'm here and do their shopping. I don't think we will ever be able to recreate the experience we had here during those 5 years. So if you've done one of the Mokuhankan print parties, that's cool. But if you haven't done it, I don't think it's ever going to happen for you. I'm sorry. Well, we've been talking about this, some of the other staff members, Ariana-san, or Cameron, or some of the girls, Shiba-san. We could just set it up, we could do your own, we could set up the bench back there. And put wood blocks and instructions on the wall. And go ahead, go and play in the room, go and do what you want. Yeah, what's the purpose of doing that? People are going to come up with a dirty, messy, ridiculous thing. It's going to give them none of the pleasure of making woodblock prints. They won't go home with something they can show and enjoy. It's just kindergarten, whatever. I'm not interested in having a kindergarten play with. Another idea is, thinking about the print parties as a part of a wider experience, start taking on apprentices upstairs, people that want to become printers and carvers. Start taking on people who want to train and build a training program. And as part of their training program, they have to spend X hours a week down in the print party room doing print parties with tourists. That will give them, a couple of things. It'll give them an understanding of how much pleasure people get from these prints. It'll give them training on what goes wrong. And anyway, pay your dues. Work in the print party room downstairs, X hours a week. And then go upstairs and do your training. On the face of it, that's a cool idea too. But we don't have the facilities and personnel, whatever, to run a training program upstairs. We are busy making prints. So let's pay more attention to this. Someone's getting network errors. Everything's green here. Nothing has changed. I'm not touching the computer. The delivery, I don't think it was a Chantal. The delivery, it's the block set for print number 7 in this year's subscription set. Kawasaki-san in Kobe. She talked to me yesterday by the phone. She'll be sending it, and I sent her the key block for number 9. I sent it yesterday afternoon, and she sent the block set for number 7. And there's a second box there. I don't know where it hung on anything. It could be, who's sending? Oh, I know. It's the blocks for Mr. K. We just talked about him from the print parties. He's doing test printing on some of those old Takamizawa prints. And actually, I will need to have a look and see what's inside here. Some test printing from some Takamizawa prints. He wants the blocks fixed up. Ken's got a good point about what? Blah, 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 blah. We should consider making changes to print party for less scheduled parties, increase the price. Yeah, I mean, the problem was we got full, and it's really hard work to do it. So, okay, so what if we did this, reduce it to, one idea was we could do this, say, just on 2 days a week or something. It would be Tuesday, Wednesday, or it would be Saturday, Sunday, whatever. Print parties available only 2 days a week. Put the price up for $5,000. They would sell out instantly, and we would have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of unhappy people who want to get this and who couldn't do it. Some people would enjoy the experience, and a whole bunch of people would feel frustrated they couldn't get it. I don't know. I know, one of the things that made it special, I know it was special, but it was unsustainable. Dave here, I did most of the freaking print parties myself. If I said it was killing me, it's not true, but it was killing me, you know. And since we've stopped parties, man, I get so much work done. So I don't know, feedback, okay, send me emails, give your feedback, throw your ideas, but I really can't see how we can do that again. I really can't see how we can do it again. I don't know. I'm not in a depressed mood. I'm happy. You know, we're doing really, really well. Our business is wonderful. Our staff is all busy. I'm not sitting here crying the blues about this thing. Even if the virus hadn't come, we were having to rethink this and force us to think about what's going on. So this is not this situation, you know. I have to decide what to do. You know. Excuse me. I guess maybe part of the core problem with print parties is they weren't actually a print party, they were a performance. They were like it's like one of those things where there's a theater group, and instead of giving the play, they grab 2 or 3 people from the audience and there's a thing they work out. Excuse me. It is chilly here this morning. And it's hard work. It was a performance, and then 60 minutes later we do it again, and 60 minutes later we do it again, and sometimes it goes well and sometimes it doesn't go as well. It was just too much hard work for us to do it again and again and again and again and again, day after day after day. All of us, we just got worn out by it. Last year at year end, you know, there was I didn't ever talk about the stream. The autumn season was wonderful. We had so many parties in the staff, and we were exhausted. And I talked a minute ago about we were preparing for the spring season. It wasn't just spring. We had to prepare for the year end season. December 29, 30, 31, January 3, 4, 5. That's another mini peak tourist season. So I needed staff to do that because they would have been full of party reservations. And none of them, and these are good staff people, people that love working here, they enjoy themselves, they're happy to get paid doing this. None of them would do that. And as it turned out, I did December, whatever it was, 29th, 30th, I forget the dates, January 3rd, 4th, 5th. I did them myself. The print party thing was becoming completely unsustainable. We could not get staff. How's our time? Because that, is it show and tell time? Not yet. The show, 9 o'clock. Okay, give me a jog in 10, 15 minutes. Give me a jog. We'll go upstairs and I'm going to show you something you've never seen before. Guaranteed, you've never seen this one before. This today's show and tell. Guaranteed. So, what happens to the print party area? I mean, again, there's long-term, short-term. These 2 things are mixed together. We're talking here at the moment really about long-term. Short-term, the shop's closed, there's no parties, there's no nothing. Anyway, we're talking long-term when people come back to Japan. So it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. You put your money on the table and place your guess. So this is a long-term conversation we're having in here. If the print parties are not there, maybe the shop could expand to fill that space. We could put a small little museum area. We've got lots of print collection can go in there just to show. It could be just a lounge, coffee, just leave it. Sit and drink and have a coffee and have a Baron cookie or something. No idea, no idea. That's an easy, how to use the space, that's easy. There's lots and lots of things we could be doing with it. Yeah, I mean, Fly Fish here raised the price so high and dangle it in front of the employees. We did. I gave them all a raise on this. We have all. They've been lifted. But yeah, raise it really high, dangle that money in front of the employees, make it so that they can't refuse. That's okay in the short term, and it's okay in the bean counting sense. The problem is not just money. The people who are working here, me included, we weren't doing those print parties last year for the money. I mean, of course the staff got paid. Of course, it's back and forth. It's the energy it took. It just was a killer of a job. It's not a question of how much you got paid. It's just not sustainable to do it and have a good time and great party. Fabulous. Next. It's nothing to do with the money, how much we were getting paid. Nothing to do with that. It was just maintaining the energy and the quality of the product and just keeping it up. Day after day, hour after hour, session after session, person after person. So I get it. I know the comments here about supply and demand and raise the prices. Yes, they're true, and I get it. But it isn't just that. I'm sorry, it isn't just that. Anyway, it's a bit of a negative discussion. I'm sorry. And this is all future. None of this makes any relevance to us in the next year easily, because the shop is not going to be here for the next year or so. So this is nothing to do with our day-to-day current activities or thinking. This is simply, we're talking here theoretical future, if and when tourism does come back to Japan. So the discussion here about the parties and stuff, I'm sorry, it's not relevant at all to what's actually going here. Oh, look at this. It's not carved. I'm sitting here cleaning this block out, and we didn't carve those little meatball shapes. Okay, no problem. Let me clear it outside first, and we'll carve some meatball. That's one problem with doing this job in such disjointed bits. Drop it, pick it up, and drop it, and pick it up, and come back later. It's the stream, the flow, the workflow is really disrupted. I can't. I'm sorry, I can't follow all this. Excuse me. How about keeping the parties as they were, but have them only annually? You know, special event type stuff, you know, rather than a daily activity part of Mokuhankan. I'm not sure it would be, but it takes away that problem of having to get the staff motivated and which is yeah, and again, there's lots and lots of options, you know. There's no final set in stone decisions made. It's just when it does come time to open up again, will we try and go back to our previous pattern, or will we be doing something else? Maybe the staff is dispersed too. The two main people who were doing parties with me, Shiba-san and Kawai-san, they are now printing. And there's no way that they would want to or would even consider going back to being a shop assistant. They are now printers. Shiba-san's not just a printer, of course, she's doing her own designs now completely and fully. Everything she makes sells straight away. So Shiba-san is set, she's not coming back to do parties. And Kawai-san, his printing is getting better and better and better. There's no way he wants to come back and be, I don't want to use this word in an insulting sense, he doesn't want to come back and be just a party host. He's a printer, he wants to print, of course, you know, and from our point of view too, good printers are pretty thin on the ground. And now that he's getting good at it, I myself want to use him as a printer. Not sure, John, when he did this, he just put like blobs. He did it with some kind of round Photoshop brush. He just went blob, blob, blob. But should these things be actually rounded in shape, or should they be jagged? Not quite sure. It's just a highlight texture at the top. He said it's a meatball, so it's like that thing we mentioned about the octopus print a few minutes ago. If you make it too clean and clear, it looks funny. So a bit more rough work. I'm not making excuses for bad work, I'm just trying to think what should it look like, you know. I'm not even actually clear what these are. White highlights or lighter highlights at the top of a meatball. Okay, done. That's the top half, or not the bottom half. How's our time? 9:10, okay. I think, let me go and get that stuff from upstairs, because I think this is going to take some time to explain and show. Whatever. 10 rested, okay. I'll run up the third floor and back. Give me a couple minutes here. in the meantime, you can do a bit of research. I'm going to talk about a print. It's number 19 in our catalog. So if someone can find a link to the print in our catalog, it's called Crane at Sunrise, and it's number 0019 in our catalog. That's the block set we're going to be looking at. So if you can pop that link up, John or somebody. This one is fun. This one is fun. I've a bit of two minds about telling this story because part of it makes me look like an idiot. Or whatever things are. Things are what they are. Okay. Before we start talking about the crane, here's one of the blocks for the Great Wave print, the print party print. Talking about print parties again. We're all still here, are we? Cameron's here. Good morning, Cameron's here. This is going to be fun. Watch, 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 watch. There's going to be Webskins pictures about this. Okay, here's one of the blocks for the Great Wave print. It's been on the print party room for a year, whatever. It's John Becker's fault. This is all worn up. Totally rounded. He rubs his brush way too hard every time he comes here to do these print parties. So John Becker, along with 10,000 other people, have been responsible for totally wearing out this block. Now going back, when did I do this? In November or so, we still had busy print parties. The prints were no good because the block was too worn. So what does Dave do? We can either cancel the Great Wave print, do something else. No, what Dave did, the traditional way to do this, when something's worn out, you either throw the print away or you recut another color block. Okay, step one, cut another color block. I took a print out from the key block, put it on another block, and on the other side, I cut a new block. Nothing wrong with this so far, right? You're with me so far. Nice, sharp, beautiful edges. Print party saved, customers happy, everything moves forward. You keep selling your prints if it's a print that you're selling. If the key block wears out, gets too worn out, you're kind of hosed. Because it's basically what, you can't carve another key block. You either carve another key block or you cut out. So that's the background. Dave has done this before. He did it with the Peach Boy print. He did it with the Great Wave print. Just cut another block. Problem solved. A bit of extra work, but no problem. You stay in business. Okay, the Crane print. It's a super bestseller in our shop. I did it myself as a New Year's card years ago, sold hundreds of them. It sold thousands of copies in our shop. The blocks became, just like you saw with the Great Wave print, the blocks became worn out. It's a bestseller. We are thinking about doing the new Snack Plus print. You didn't hear that. We're thinking about doing a new kind of thing for our domestic Japanese business here until the tourists come back. And among it is using some of our best-selling small prints for this promotion. But the blocks for this print are worse than what you just saw for the Great Wave print. Worn out. So Dave talked to Chon-san last week, one of our carvers here. We're going to sort of lay him off the subscription series. The subscription series is moving ahead with Kawasaki-san. and it's also a bit postponed. Jed's really super busy. He can't give me the October print, which Johnson was supposed to start carving this week. So he needed another job this week. So I said, okay, Johnson, carve me a new set of blocks for this. And he's okay, but why not just, fix the old blocks? And I'm like, Johnson, what do you mean fix the old blocks? You can't fix, how long have you been in this business? You can't fix an old worn out block. When the block is worn out, wood has disappeared. You can't, if you cut the sharp edges, the area will now be too small. You can't fix a worn out color block. And he said, well, plane it down. I'm like, whatever, plane it down. We've only got 5 millimeters. We can't plane it down with 5 millimeters. In the old days, when you got a thick block that's 2 centimeters thick, you plane it all off, get a new flat piece of wood and start again. So I said, we can't plane this down. You can see it's 5 millimeters. Like, what are you doing to me? He said, Dave, I'm making up the conversation, but the points went back and forth. He said, no, I didn't mean plane it all off. I meant just plane off a little bit of it. And what he was getting at was this. If we go back to this again, when these are worn out, like this, the sharp one here, when it's sharp, the edges of this thing are carved like a mountain. So the top is flat, and then the sides go down like this. Now when it wears out, instead of having the flat, like my hands there, good. Instead of having a flat top, these corners get rounded. So you've lost wood. So the area is now smaller, but as you go down, it gets wider. So you get what's happening here. Chon-san said, look, Dave, now that it's rounded on the corners, just plane off 1 millimeter. That'll take off the rounded corners. It goes down to an area where it's wider. Now paste on your tracing again and cut the exact lines where they should be. Just take 1 millimeter off. And I'm like, maybe we can do this. So last night I got the blocks for the crane print and I did this. I planed off about 1 millimeter. Well, there's more to the story here than that. Here's the block set. This is this is the after. I can't show you the before. Before I did it last night, this was worn out like crazy. It was rounded. So I've planed off, I don't know exactly how much, I kept planing until the rounding disappeared. Now what this is all about, these sticks on the side, I don't know if you know what snipe is. A normal cheap planer, when you put a piece of wood in, it goes kakong, and then kakong as it runs off, and you get what's called snipe, a groove in your block. So to stop the snipe, I put rails on this block. I made them a bit too thick, so when it goes in the planer rollers run on the side here, and the snipe happened here, kakong, and then from there on it was smooth, and then kakong. And I did the same thing on the front and on the back. So we have taken down this block about maybe 1 millimeter, maybe not quite 1 millimeter. And what we'll do now, the registration marks are still there. We will take the tracing again now, which I've still got from 20 years ago. We'll paste it on here. And this wood now, he will just have to trim a little bit here, trim a little bit there, and all the gouging is done, all the other work is done, the registration marks are in. It'll just take him a few hours. And Dave's idea was get a new set of blocks, paste the tracing down, and start all over again. Does it work for the wide areas? Yes. Does it work for the fine lines? Yes, it did exactly. The eyeball of the crane here is okay. It needs carving now. This is not ready to print. It's been planed just enough. What was a rounded, thin line is now a flat, fat line. And in here, from this material, Chon-san will now carve a clean line. I mean, super thinking. Dave here is just, whatever, I'm getting older, you get in your set ways, you know how to do things, so you keep doing it the way you've always done it. Chon-san says, hey, let's plane them off. And it's going to work. It's going to be finicky. You really have to be careful how much, like that beak here has to fit inside that here. So we've got to get things lined up really carefully, but we have registration marks. We're okay with this. Probably the easiest way to do it, we've got a bunch of prints left, which are sort of what we call Friotin. They're good, but not good enough to sell. So we will moisten those up to the printing level. We will just paste them down like this, put it in the registration marks, glue it down, and that's your guide to cutting the next one. But look at this. John's on this. What about the Katazuti block? The Katazuti block doesn't need touching because it's not worn out. The wearing comes from the brushes. The wearing doesn't come from the barrel. So the Katazuti block is not only staying the same, it's going to be a key to helping us register the other blocks. We are going to treat this like a key block, and we are going to register the other blocks to this one. So it's also, this is what necromancy here. We can use blocks of good wood. This is what Johnson was, he wasn't caring about the extra work. He's going to get paid either way. But the new wood we've got is crap, and this wood is good. And he said, if we do it this way, we get to use the old wood, and it will last another 20 years. If we carve a new set now, it'll only last 2 or 3 years. So this guy, I mean, just give this guy 6 chocolate eggs. I know, just whatever. I'm so happy. I didn't get it at first. Johnson, plane it off. It's only 5 millimeters thick, you know. Yeah, we have a planer upstairs. Karen, you were here for a month. You didn't hear bzzz. We do all our blocks with our own plane first, then we send them out to Kiba for the dress planing. On this one, I just used my plane upstairs. It leaves little, I don't know if you can see it or not. There are tiny ripples in here because it's not a totally dress planer, but I know how to solve those, and I'm going to do that with my Nagara. Take it down the last little step. But yes, these rails, it's a planer. We have a Ryobi small planer. It's about, I don't know, whatever, so wide. Bzz. The Katazuti block has had some pigment used on it. Yes, because the very, very, very first time I tried making this print, years and years and years ago, the original that I copied from didn't use Katazuti. The original I copied from the Kyosai print from whatever it was, 17 whatever, did have pigment on this. So I tried it first with pigment, decided it would look much better as Katazuti, and from that day on. So this has been printed like a half a dozen times with a light gray pigment, and after that, just Katazuti. What kind of wood is this? It's cherry, Japanese mountain cherry. But this is cool. This is such a cool story. We're not out of the woods now. Doing the next step, getting this thing lined up is not going to be trivial. It's going to be difficult. But what we'll do is, as I said, you do one first, you transfer it to the next, and you transfer it to the next. Because those things are going to line up. That beak, where is it? The beak in the gray, and then the beak on the black that goes over top of it. This is not a trivial job. But if we do get through this, it will save an absolute ton of work. When Johnson left here the other day, you know, I took his ID and I thought, can we do this? And he doesn't know, but I actually did this last night. So he's going to come in today, this afternoon, and I'm going to drop this on his desk and tell him, over to you. Okay, let me open the box from Kawaii-san. Okay, this is just sneak peek now. This is not dramatically special show and tell. It's just sneak peek. You saw a couple of weeks ago, yeah, come on, I'll show you again. The old antique blocks we have from the Takamizawa company, from the Taisho period, which is somewhere around 100 years ago. We've scored a number of old block sets, and we are trying to put them back into life. And Kawaii-san, as part of his first job as his new independent printing life, his post-print party independent printing life, Kawaii-san has been working on some of these. He's done it again. He's done it again. Look at this block. Oh, I see. Look at, okay, this is a story here too. Look at this. He has done it again. This is a test print from Kawai-san, Mr. K. This would be a block from somewhere, I don't know, 1916, 1917. The Takamizawa reproductions of Hiroshige travel scenes. The original would have been an Oban print, you know, like the Great Wave size, whatever. And look at the white space. There's a block missing. There's a block missing. He has done a nice job on this. Look at this. The scale again, to get the scale here we're talking about. Here's my finger. This block set looks usable. The carving is magnificent. There's a block missing. These umbrellas, the hat, the umbrellas, there must be a Yamabuki, a orangey yellow straw colored block. It must be missing. This is going to be such a nice series, you know, such a nice series. They're hard work. Printing like this is no joke. The one I showed you last week, this is his second one that he's done in this series. I showed you this last week. This is the first one. And we've got, Takami said, we've got about 20 of these block sets. It's going to be such a cool series. This one was missing a block too. It was missing the block for the sky gradation. So I had to carve that and send it over to Kawai-san. And then this is number 3. Number 2, it's the view of Kaminarimon, and I had to carve 2 blocks to fill in for that one. It's funny, man. So we don't know what happened to the blocks that are missing, but there they are. We're still not sure how to do it. Because of the size, one idea was to put him into our Hanga Club, you know, the postcard size prints that we sell. But we can't, because that's a unified price structure for the Hanga Club. They're all 4,000 yen, and there's no way I can do this. Where's the key block? For 4,000 yen. Here we are. Here's the key block. But we can't put the price up too much because they're so small. I know. Back off, sorry. Okay. Again, there's my finger. So there's the lady and somebody sitting inside that building there. And then when you get closer, here they are. There's 3 people, look at those. 3 people in there, inside that building, sheltering from the rain, with their own kimono colors, their own style. There's the block. Absolutely magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. There are mysteries about these. The name of the print, the area name, is done with a block that's laid in. And that's the same on all the series. It's not a question of the carver forgot. So maybe the series was published or something without these names, or they forgot when they carved the whole series, and they went back and put the names in. I have no idea why they would do that. But every one of the blocks we've got in this series, same thing. The name of the place was not in the first level of carving, and they put it Hideki. They put something in. So it's a new print series coming from a publisher near you sometime. But I still don't know. When we've had 1, 2, if we get 3 of them now done, then I will have a proper idea of my costs, what the printer, what it costs him to do this, the extra carving we've done, how many spoiled copies we have. Once I've got that data, I will be able to tell where to price this. But it isn't going to be 4,000 yen, the same as our other postcards. It's just not possible. 6,000 maybe, I don't know. And it won't be a subscription you have to buy them all. They'll be single prints available. One block missing there. The blocks have seen better days. Oh, there's the rain block, look. These are fun to carve. There's the rain block. We can also see too, there's lots of stories in these blocks, you know. Okay, look at this. These carving marks here. You saw me do this today with my chisel. That's carving by the carver. Makes sense to me. Go with me. It's carving by the carver. These lines here, these scoop, 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 scoop. You saw me do that. We take these away. The carver doesn't leave those. So these carving lines are done by the printer. Some of the block must have been a little bit shallow. So the printer, he's got his own little gouges. He just scoop, 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 scoop. Get out of the way. Next time, carve deeper, please. Carve, carve, carve. So whenever you see these scoop marks, this is the printer trying to clean up a block that wasn't quite carved deeply enough. It's not just that the carver screwed up. How deep you carve depends on the kind of paper you're going to use. Beautifully textured, smooth paper can go with a shallow block. But if you've got some rough paper, you've got to put more pressure in, it sags a bit more and you hit the block. Or if you print so many copies carelessly, you need to go deeper. So there you are. These kind of chisel marks, this is the carver taking away the wood. These little scoop, scoop marks, this is the printer angry saying, screw you, guy. Every block has its story. Every block has its story. I don't see the numbers on this one, but we got one set of blocks a while ago. It was priceless. I've got to find it and show you. It had a number written on each block. I had no idea. It would say 2 and then 8. I thought, well, they've numbered it. Number 1, number 2, number 3. No, because then you'd see a 2 on another block. So there would be a 2, a 4, and an 8, and a 5. What's going on? And this was the price that the publisher paid his printers for each sheet. And it would be 2 sen, not 2 yen. This is a division of yen. So the printers in the workshop would have been gathering around. They're going to have a job to split up with different people. Who gets what job? The senior guy picks the blocks. He'll pick the one that's got the 8 on it because he's going to get 8 sen per sheet from that block. Well, the publisher would have written 8 because it's more difficult. They might have taken more time to rub the pigment out or the registration a bit more careful, whatever. The 2 would have been a quick and easy bang, bang, bang. So the seniority guys would pick first the ones they want and run them, and then the kids in the workshop would get to pick the ones with the lower numbers. And the numbers on them was the price the publisher. It's like a buy bid. It's like selling ads on Google, on websites. You put your price down and people bid on it, whatever, you do it. Now these were sen, not yen. Now the current money now is yen. Before that, yen was divided. I think every yen had 1,000 sen? 100 sen. No, it was called sen, so that must be 1,000. Don't quote me, look it up. Yen were divided into a smaller currency. When you bought something for 1 yen back in the Taisho era, that was big money. That was like $100 or whatever it was. I don't know. I haven't done the valuation. So the yen we have now used to be divided into smaller currencies. Now it's like a penny. A modern yen is roughly like an American penny. A 10,000 yen bill is like $90, $100. Okay, I'd better get out of here. I have a list of things to do today that is 5,000 miles long, same as all of you, same as everybody. Okay, today's Thursday. I will be back here Saturday morning, and one of 2 things going. I might be doing an extra block for Kawai-san. He needs this extra block for the straw here. So perhaps I'll be doing that Saturday morning, or perhaps I'll be working on John's Patreon prints still going on there. Or maybe it'll be something else. No idea. It's been a bit scattered again today. Sorry about that. That's the way things are. See you again Saturday. Thanks for visiting. I hope it's been a little bit interesting maybe. See you next time. Bye for now. Stay. We've got them all, you know. This is Japan's secret. Use them.